to the No DQ live recap of Monday Night Raw. It is May the 10th, 2021. We have WrestleMania Backlash this coming Sunday on the WWE Network internationally and, of course, in the United States on Peacock. Let's go ahead and get started with this recap. Shout out to the chat room. For everybody watching live and on demand, I appreciate your viewership and support. We kicked off Raw with a 6-woman tag team match. We had Charlotte Flair teaming up with Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler against Asuka, Mandy Rose, and Dana Brooke. Things broke down early on in the match. Reginald was there doing a little bit of acrobatics. We had a face-off between the 6 women, and then they were interrupted by Alexa Bliss. Alexa was sitting on the stage in her swing. Lily was also there. Alexa said that Lily wanted to keep her eyes on someone, but it was not made clear who Lily is watching. And there was this evil laughter from both Alexa and Lily. At least this was something different from the last several weeks of the Alexa Bliss segments on Raw. Back to the match. You had Shayna Baszler selling her leg. She could not make the tag. And then Asuka finished off Shayna Baszler with a Shining Wizard. After the match was over, Charlotte immediately took down Asuka with a big boot. And then Charlotte's music started playing. You had Alexa and Lily once again laughing up on the stage. And I guess we'll see what happens next with this. Tic Tat Tat wants to know why Alexa was not interrupting Rhea Ripley. Your guess is as good as mine. Maybe Lily knows something we don't know about the outcome of Sunday's Backlash pay-per-view. We had Matt Riddle meeting up backstage with Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods about their 8-man tag team match. Riddle brought up maybe how they could use some bromatos on their opponents, and New Day suggested maybe some bro nuts, but Riddle said he was out of bro nuts. We then had Randy Orton show up from behind, standing right there next to Riddle. And Randy Orton was not amused by all this. And I have to say this was an entertaining segment. I do like the RK Bro team. I think Randy Orton does provide good straight man counteraction to Riddle's goofiness. We had MVP going backstage to talk to Braun Strowman about the triple threat match at WrestleMania Backlash. By the way, Strowman shaved his head, which definitely a better look for him. MVP just wanted to talk business. MVP had this idea that they could take out McIntyre before the pay-per-view, and therefore it would be a one-on-one match between Bobby Lashley and Braun Strowman for the WWE title. And Strowman stood there thinking about it. And of course, the main event of this show was Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre. We had another backstage segment with Damian Priest. He was talking to Adam Pearce, and then The Miz confronted him with John Morrison, and it was announced that John Morrison would face Damian Priest, and the winner would get to pick the stipulation. Morrison accepted without The Miz agreeing to it, and The Miz was upset about this. And the stipulation will be for the Damian Priest versus Miz match coming up at WrestleMania Backlash. We had the Raw return of the modern-day Maharaja, Jinder Mahal, who we have not seen on Raw in quite some time. I think over a year at this point. He did appear at that special event for the Indian market back in January, and then Last week he was on Main Event against Jeff Hardy. WWE decided to do another match between Mahal and Hardy on Raw. Francis in the chat room says, watching live from the start after a very long time, otherwise always later recorded. Great work, Aaron. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. So we had the match between Jinder Mahal and Jeff Hardy. Pretty standard match here. Mahal countered the twist of fate and then hit the Colossus to pick up the win clean. And people are wondering, well, what's up with Jeff Hardy? And I just think WWE doesn't want to push him right now with no fans. I think once WWE goes back to touring, we will see Jeff Hardy get a push again. Probably he'll have No More Words as his theme music again, and he'll get the ball rolling and he'll get that momentum back. Jinder Mahal has two guys with him now for a little faction, Veer and Shanky. Yes, Shanky is this other guy's name. Don't see him getting over with the name Shanky, but we'll see. Walter Cruz with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Walter. He says, hey, Aaron, I go to bed early tonight. Wanted to at least leave a super chat. Have a good night. Raw gets a C. All right, Walter gives the show a C, and thank you, Walter, for your super chat. I very much appreciate it. Have a good night. Hopefully, I'll see you soon in another chat. We had Jackson Riker backstage with Elias. Jackson had some tomatoes. We still got the tomatoes. Who thought this was a good idea to keep this as a running joke? We had Elias writing a song. He wanted to sing it, but AJ Styles was like, no, they got to take their 8-man tag team match seriously. Omis was there, and he took the tomato and he squashed the tomato, which a lot of people pointed out that it was a gimmicked tomato that they had pre-cut, and Omis unfortunately showed the gimmicked part of the tomato. Whoops. We had the 8-man tag team match with the heels up against New Day, Riddle, and Orton. Omis was tagged in pretty early on, and he took down Riddle, he took down Kofi and Xavier. Randy Orton, the one non-jabroni on the babyface side, just stayed on the outside of the ring. And then after the commercial break, AJ Styles had tagged in, and once again, AJ gets the cold tag where he tags in and the heels lose their momentum. But they were able to regain it, and eventually you had Riddle tagging in, getting the hot tag, and then Randy Orton tagged in. Omis had gone to the outside of the ring to help AJ, and Orton took advantage of this, hit the RKO on Elias, and scored the pinfall victory. Once again, why is Elias taking all the falls? Why is Jackson Riker being protected so much? I don't know. And after the match was over, Orton hit the RKO onto both members of the New Day, and Riddle just yelled at Orton. He was mad, he was upset. Orton walked off and just blew off Riddle. But I'm guessing the RKO team will continue. No RKO to Matt Riddle just yet. Match was all right, but yeah, I'm not sure why Elias is being beaten every week instead of Jackson Riker. All right, moving on here, we had Sonya Deville backstage announcing that it would be Asuka versus Rhea Ripley in a singles match, even though Asuka already competed, and Rhea Ripley felt like this was Charlotte getting in Sonya's ear. Of course, we've had this storyline over the past several weeks where Sonya has been helping out Charlotte. And Asuka did agree to the match, and that was set up for later on. We had Sheamus come into the ring for a promo, and he said that he wants his own legacy. He doesn't want to do the whole open challenge thing. He made fun of Adnan Virk for saying that he's out of his depth on commentary. Ouch, that was a brutal line. And said that even Virk could get his own opportunity at the U.S. Championship with an open challenge. Sheamus said Humberto and Mansoor are not on his level. We then had our match. Humberto got a hot start, but Sheamus quickly got the upper hand, tossed Humberto over the barricade, and worked over Humberto for a while. Did the why so serious, grabbing his mouth and forcing the smile, which I like that being Sheamus's new gimmick. Humberto started to make a comeback, but then you had Sheamus on the apron. Humberto was in the ring, and he did this sunset flip powerbomb all the way to the outside. Unfortunately, the landing was very awkward. Humberto landed awkwardly, and Sheamus landed on top of Humberto's thigh. Humberto appeared to be legitimately injured. The referee came outside and checked on him, called the match off. Sheamus was declared the victor, and that was that. At this point, not sure what's going on with Humberto, but I'm guessing that was not a worked segment. Definitely looked like a legitimate injury. Hopefully nothing too serious, you know. We make fun of the guy for not being able to get past a certain level in WWE, but it sucks when somebody gets hurt, especially when they get some semblance of momentum, which he did have. I'm guessing it wasn't going to last, but yeah, at least he was getting an opportunity, and now who knows what's going to happen with that. So best wishes to Humberto. Dr. NXT Scorpio with the $10 super chat says, I tuned back into watching Raw again, and the first thing I saw is a replay of Drew Gulak getting a rose shoved up his ass. Just why? And 2 letter grades down for the 6 and 8 man tags. Well, geez, if you give a letter grade down just for a multi-person match, then you must really hate AEW Dynamite, because, you know, they do tons of those tag matches with a ton of people. And I thought the rose being shoved up Gulak's ass was maybe the highlight of last week's Raw. Not sure what that says about the rest of the show, but there you go. We had a little vignette for the Lucha House Party. I guess they're getting a renewed push. They're reintroducing themselves. They're always ready for a fight, and they're always lucha lit. Not sure that's going to catch on, but I guess we'll see. We had Gulak confronting Angel Garza about the Rose incident from last week, and Angel threatened to do it again, and that was all we saw from these guys on this show. Maybe we'll get another match next week, or maybe they'll fight on main event. Who knows? We had Rhea Ripley versus Asuka, and WWE repeated the same exact thing that we saw last week when it was Lashley versus Strowman. If you guys remember, right before the commercial break, Drew McIntyre walks down to get a closer look. And then after the commercial, he's sitting there on commentary. Same exact thing happened with Charlotte. She walks down right before the commercial with her music playing. And then after commercial, she's sitting there at ringside doing commentary. I hate this stuff. It just makes the show feel so repetitive and over choreographed, over scripted. Like you just follow the same template with 2 different storylines. Yeah. Anyways, both Asuka and Rhea were getting in Charlotte's face, and the other one would take advantage. Rhea would attack Asuka, and then Asuka would attack Rhea. And eventually, the champ, Rhea Ripley, did pick up the victory with the Riptide. And yeah, it was not a great match. For whatever reason, these two just don't seem to have the chemistry in the ring together. WrestleMania was not that great. and this was not much better. We'll see if Charlotte can be the difference maker on Sunday. We had Drew McIntyre interviewed backstage and admitted that he's screwed if Braun Strowman decides to help Lashley, but he's just going to focus on beating Bobby Lashley. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to have Braun Strowman show up at the end and there's going to be a screwy finish. We'll get to that in just a little bit. We had John Morrison versus Damian Priest. And again, the winner of this match would get to pick the stipulation for Priest versus The Miz this Sunday at WrestleMania Backlash. We had Miz interfering, doing his usual shenanigans, helping Morrison outside the ring so Morrison could rest up. Miz was yelling at Priest, taking off his jacket, threatening to fight him. And then after the commercial break, you had Miz doing some trash talking. And then when Morrison managed to send Priest to the outside of the ring, Miz took a cheap shot when the referee wasn't looking. Eventually, Priest made his comeback, hit several big moves, did the broken arrow for a near fall. He did a spinning kick off the top, another near fall. Miz then got on the apron, and Morrison actually had the match potentially won. He did a pin, but the referee was distracted with the Miz. Once again, this happened the other week. Miz's interference actually backfired on Morrison, and then you had Damian Priest hit the lights to pick up the 1-2-3 victory. And after the match, Miz attempted to attack Priest, but it did not work out for him. He had to flee the scene, and then Priest once again hit the lights on Morrison. And backstage, Priest talked to Damian Priest and said that he wants Miz in a lumberjack match. So there's nowhere for Miz to hide on Sunday. TJS with a $3 super chat. With a $3 super chat, going off topic as he does. And I'm not going to answer it right now because it has nothing to do with Raw. So somebody remind me at the end if he wants that super chat to be addressed. We'll move on here. We had 2 Eva Marie vignettes on this show. The first one was the same one from last week with the car. And then the second one, we had her taking photos and talking about being a super role model and life is not perfect, but anything's possible. And I guess we'll see how this plays out. At least they did a different one. Maybe next week we'll finally get to see her show up and she'll start a storyline, or maybe we'll see another 6 to 8 weeks of these vignettes. Who knows at this point? We then had our main event of the evening, Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre. Lashley went for the Hurt Lock right away, trying to make quick work of McIntyre, but of course it did not work. You had Strowman watching backstage on the monitor, and Lashley continued to dominate the match, but then he went for the spear, and McIntyre sidestepped him, sent Lashley upside down into the corner, and then McIntyre began his comeback, hit some suplexes. Lashley managed to recover. He went for the Hurt Lock, but then got hit with the Claymore, and that's when all of a sudden Strowman's music hit. I mean, we all knew this was going to be a screwy ending. We had Strowman hit the power slam on McIntyre, causing a disqualification. And then Strowman helped Lashley up, acted like he was going to help Lashley take out McIntyre, but then Strowman power slammed Lashley. He power slammed Drew McIntyre again, and then he took Lashley to the outside of the ring. He slammed Lashley through the barricade and then went back in the ring and hit one more power slam onto McIntyre and stood tall to end this final episode of Monday Night Raw before WrestleMania Backlash. And that was the final Raw before the show. It was just a show. Like, I don't think it was a bad Raw, but I've definitely seen a lot better episodes of Monday Night Raw, so I think I'm going to go with a C. It was just a show. And there's not really anything I would say you should go out of your way to watch. Like, nothing really. I mean, I might even go C-. There just wasn't anything that was like must-see TV or felt like you had to watch. Like, nothing. It was very run-of-the-mill. Let's see what you guys thought. TJS with a D+. Michael Wayne, CC Drink, and Kim Hall give it a C. Detective Mocha and Mr. Anderson give it a D. Gary says the recap is an A+. Thank you, Gary. And he said Raw overall gets a D. But good news is we do have Dynamite, we do have NXT, and we do have SmackDown. So it only gets better as the week goes on. All right, now to answer TJS about the John Lennon song, I don't see it as a heel turn. I think that's a great song. God, I think it's a very personal song, and that's what Lennon was known for. He had very personal lyrics, and it's a thought-provoking song. I really like that one. Dr. NXT Scorpio with a $5 super chat, and I do like the message of that song too. Dr. NXT Scorpio with a $5 super chat says, watching Raw sometimes makes me question why I'm even a fan, LOL. Also, don't forget TJS's super chat. Well, I'm sure TJS will appreciate that. I did answer it very quickly. And TJS says he doesn't believe in Beatles. Well, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you got to believe in yourself. And I think that's what that song conveys. Now, anyways, yeah, regarding Dr. NXT Scorpio, I mean, why anybody would watch that 3-hour Raw, I don't know. But clearly there are people enjoying it. You still get close to 2 million people that tune into Raw on the USA Network. Some people are liking it, but I mean, are these new fans or are they just people that will watch WWE no matter what? And Darren says, are you a Kill Switch Engage fan? Is that the band that did CM Punk's song? If so, I only know that song. And I couldn't tell you anything else about them. And yeah, isn't it crazy that Raw has been 3 hours for almost a decade now? Like, I'm blown away by that. Like, how has this been a thing? But at the end of the day, USA Network's happy. They're paying WWE the big bucks. It's going to be the way it's going to be. So anyways, Detective Mocha sent in a $2 super chat, says, rank the wrestling shows best to worst. Well, last week, I know the Blood and Guts match got somewhat mixed reviews, but I'm not sure if I would put Blood and Guts ahead of SmackDown. I think I would. I mean, SmackDown was a pretty solid show, but I'm going to give it to Blood and Guts, and then SmackDown, and then NXT. I barely remember anything that happened on NXT, but I did like all the stuff with Jimmy Uso on SmackDown. And of course, Blood and Guts, I enjoyed the show more than a lot of other people did. And then, of course, Raw would be at the bottom. And usually for me, it's AEW or SmackDown, and then NXT, and then Raw. And that's pretty much how it goes every week. And I think this week will be the same pattern. So on that note, guys, I'm out for the night. Got a lot of content coming up this week. And Saturday night will be the No DQ predictions for WrestleMania Backlash. We're changing it up, doing it on Saturdays. I prefer to do them several days in advance so people have time to listen and watch the predictions. But since there's no other spot now because of NXT being on Tuesdays, combined with the fact that WWE doesn't announce full cards until like the day of the show or the day before. Figured we'd do it on Saturday. So check that out. Saturday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll be doing the predictions for WrestleMania Backlash. And of course, after Backlash on Sunday, I'll be back with another live stream. So every day coming up here for the next week and a half plus, there'll be live streams here on the channel. If you're enjoying the content, please consider subscribing and telling a friend and clicking on that notification bell for updates. Take care, everybody, and I will see you all next time.